Good evening, everybody. It is, I do believe, Tuesday. I don't know. I've lost track of the days, so it's either Tuesday or Wednesday. It's probably Wednesday. All I know is the last couple of days, um, there's been a lot of stuff going on. Excuse me for my hair. It's towards the end of the day, anyhow. My hair is, starting to frizz out. Last couple of days have been taxing. What? Good evening, everybody. Probably can't tell what time of day it is in this room because it has no windows, which is fine by me. It's also a good room for safety when we have tornadoes. It's basically towards the center front of the house, but it's a little bit better than having to be in the hallway or someplace uncomfortable. But Jerry is currently in the front room, which is beyond this wall behind me. It's a very thin wall. She's doing her weekly live with Rebecca, and they talk about different subjects that I have no interest in because a lot of it is either political or something that I don't have that much knowledge about or interest in. But the only thing that I would be interested in would have been last week's, where they talked about the deportation of the mass deportation of a bunch of people to Venezuela. And my only thoughts on that is how many of them are like drug runners or human traffickers or anything of that area. If they're just people who are living with their family and doing no harm to anybody else, maybe they're migrant workers who got their card or whatever it is to be a migrant worker pulled out from underneath them. I don't know, but I don't like the idea because, like, okay, yeah, the idea of removing the negative aspect, like the drug lords and the drug runners and the bad people, basically. Yes, I say go ahead, deport them and hope you don't have a retaliation. But the average everyday human being, as long as they're not doing any harm to the American people, no, don't deport them. That and most of our farmers during the various growing seasons who have their work permits and whatnot are here to help the American people by harvesting our fruits and our produce and whatnot. So I'm not no. I was like, no, don't deport them if they don't have any kind of FBI or any kind of record that makes them a negative influence on the American people because of what they do. But I did not jump on here to talk about that and the tariffs or any of that garbage because I could be on here forever dealing with that, and I know there will be a lot of people who are like, give me backlash or whatever, and I don't want that anymore. The one thing I did want to talk about has to do with the combination of Sunday and some of the things that have been happening in the last couple of days. Now, Sunday's live was terrible, and I couldn't even bring myself to do a live because I was upset about the whole thing. The thing is, Jan wants to be on a united front against certain people. And my problem with that as an individual is those people have not caused me any headaches or anything in quite some time. Oriel, just settle down. Mommy wants you to stay with me because of what she's doing, which is fine. I don't mind. I love Oriel's company. But the thing is, I have to make a decision, And this is a decision I have to make on my terms, and I need to be wholehearted about it. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there supporting me to stand strong against certain elements or aspects that have to do what they see with Jerry. Now, yes, I do see some of those aspects and whatnot, and it's not anybody's fault. I have been sitting back on my laurels for way too long, letting things go in directions that I really don't feel like going. I am 53 years old, and the thing that I wanted to do when I got up in age, especially realizing that I am older than my father and a little bit healthier than my father. Yes, I do have to watch my glucose, my sugars, and carbs, and all the things that were bad in my life until I started doing my Nordic diet and whatnot. Is I've always wanted to spend the last of my years, and since I have no clue when I'll be dying or when I'll be entering the last of my years, but I did not want to spend the last of my years cooped up in a house. I wanted to be able to live out of a C class, I think they are. C class? No, it's a B class, because the B class is a box truck, which is what their original chassis was sitting on, was a box truck type of chassis. C class is basically a cargo van. So I was thinking that me and Jerry, B class. Yes, you can get a mortgage, like a house, on a RV. I personally think and feel that I could live out of an RV because I don't need that enough stuff with me. Clothes for a week, reading materials, maybe my Apple iPad instead of a full-blown computer or a laptop, and a Wi-Fi booster on the top of the RV. That was my dream. That was my dream even like a couple years after we moved here. Within the last 5 to 10 years, we've been here since Hurricane Sandy, or Superstorm Sandy hit, shortly after it hit New York. So like 2014, late 13, early 14. But I understand things change. I mean, I lived in an environment as a kid where things either changed every 3 years or every so many years or months. I mean, look at teenagers. They change from being an adolescent to a teenager, and they've got physical change, emotional change, psychological change, is a whole 9 yards. And then as they get older, college helps change and mold them even better, which I never got to experience, except for that 1 year at Ozark Christian College. I was in 1 year back in the late 90s. I would love to go back and study for either just general Bible or I forgot what they radio ministry, like Caleb. If you don't know what Caleb is, you can look it up online, caleb.com. They've got Spirit FM under their belt and a few other radio stations under their networking. And that's what I wanted to do. That's what I want to do now, because I can't do a lot of the physical work a lot of people do, due to my lower back, especially. I mean, if I could lift the 50 pounds that I could 5 years ago, if I could still do that, I would probably find myself another supermarket deli, or go back to working in Arby's that I did way back in the 90s. from Wendy's. The problem is it's a combination of, and I found out recently, and I just have to make a phone call or research it. I just found out recently that Medicaid, I think it is, I'm on. It's either Medicaid or Medicare. I think it's Medicaid. That they have a program that I can go and find a dentist and get this mug fixed, which would probably do a whole lot of good for my health. Not only just my health, but my appearance. So if I were to go back to get if I were able to get a job or get hired, hired somewhere like Wendy's or Arby's where I'd have to deal with the public a lot, I wouldn't have the problem with, trying not to smile or be friendly, as some people would say. But, that's one of the many things I'm looking into. The other thing I forgot to do today because I wasn't in the mood to think about stuff, but now I'm starting to feel a little bit better. DSS gave me a website that I can go to that will work with Medicaid for a gym membership. And a lot of the gyms that I know about in this area, or even the center, which is in town, I was reminded of how much it costed a friend of ours when she was here, like $99 for a year or something like that. And I'm like, well, $100 for a year, that's not bad. But if Medicaid could take care of that, and I only have to pay like half to a quarter of that, I can afford it. I'm not going to ask anybody to help me with that. I did have a thought for myself for a GoFundMe page or something like that to help me out. And I'm not going to do that just yet because right now I'm still trying to figure certain things out. And one of the things I'm still trying to figure out is my relationship to Jerry Ann. I want us to be a couple. I want us to be together for quite some time. But it's hard for both of us when, me especially, when I don't fully understand her mind or some of the things that she's keeping track of and doing that I don't understand. It's like, okay, she's got several different type of bank cards. Why, I don't know. The situation with money right now is very tight, and yes, thankfully, we're able to make the mortgage payments. We actually had a friend of ours suggest, and what I mean by a friend of ours is somebody that we both know and trust. But that friend told us or advised us, because of the way the stock market is going, that I should pull all the money from my my benefit package from a job. Well, my first job here in Rolla, they gave me it's almost like a 401k. I built up so much credit with them, and I think I've still got like $8,000 or something like that in. I didn't realize it until not too long ago. I think I still got about $8,000 between the two policies, and is it 8,000 or 800? I don't remember the numbers, but I know it's a good. No, it's not in the thousands. It's 800. Because if it was in the thousands, I would have pulled that out and paid off some major bills. But they advised us because of the market to pull my money out, and I'm like, well, I don't think the market would affect what I have. So if anything, let's pull it out to help pay the mortgage so we can stay here another month or more. But I have expressed to Jerry, and I really don't want to stay in this house because it's just too much for me. And at this stage of trying to fix up the house, it would be better to just move to a smaller house. But with all the stuff that, and I'm gonna say we both own, because she owns just as bad as much as I do, but most of what I own is could fill up this room, to be honest with you. Maybe a little bit more than just this room, because of the holiday decorations that are mine, or I wanted and we got. So I mean, I'm not trying to defend Jerry in what she has and what she doesn't have, or how much stuff we have, because after today, if she feels up to it tomorrow because she had a doctor's appointment, or she's going through the same thing I'm doing now, is basically shots to her back for her pain, or for pain management. And I know from previous experience, it could take you a good 12 to 24 hours to get over the initial effects of the shot, especially for a first timer. But I think what I need to do is, before I approach Joanne with anything, I need to get myself settled. I need to get myself at that, like, stand up for myself type position, which sometimes it's hard because of my memories. I'm 53, and I begin to wonder if I have an early onset of Alzheimer's, just because of my forgettability. But we all know the other reasons. And not that I don't want to talk about what's going on in my house or my family. It's more along the lines of what happened Sunday should not have happened on an open channel or in front of the world, basically. Now I know Jerry feels a certain way because of what happened between all of us on Sunday, but it really irritated me the most, because not only did it seem like there was an attack on, there was Sunday, an attack on Mom, and I don't know if it's because Mom got a little, not only she was defending herself, but she was getting snarky. What I mean by that is, somebody said, can't hear Sally. And Jerry said, Mom, you need to speak up a little bit. And she did. She spoke up normally, because what you were hearing in the beginning of that video is her normal tone and soft-spoken voice. But I got upset, not only because it was an open-aired argument between the two of them for one reason or another. I was getting upset because, like, we should not be talking about this on a live chat. This should be something that we talked about off camera, where nobody can see the different the attitudes and whatnot. I mean, I love my mom to death, and I try to listen to her as much as I can, but because of my learning disabilities and my social anxieties and social, I wasn't really taught social skills. I basically watched my parents, and that was where I learned social skills. And it's really hard sometimes for me to deal with other people due to that one fact. And that, and my mom and dad never argued in front of me. They always waited until I was in bed or out of the house. So that was another issue that I was having problems with. It's like, how do I deal with the differences between me and my wife without getting into a big old hubbubaloo? Now, Jerry wants me to be on a front with her against people like Diane and her crew. And I'm like, I have not heard nor seen anything negative towards me. And she tried to point out some of the things about what she's heard from her people. I don't want to say the word spies because, that's just that sounds like something from like 1980s, the Cold War. But I have a hard time with the idea of a front or being on the same page when it comes to dealing with people that Jerry doesn't like. Now, does Jerry not like Diane, or does Diane not like Jerry because of differences of opinion, or because Jerry does not like the idea of somebody else telling her what she's doing wrong? Which I try to point out, and she tries to blame me for something, or turns around and makes me look like the bad guy. And that's one of the reasons why I've just kind of given up on trying to argue with her or fight with her, because one of my pet peeves is somebody trying to tell me what I did wrong when I don't think I did anything wrong. And if I do realize I did something wrong, I usually sit there and analyze the situation and go, okay, yeah, you're right, I did speak out of turn, or I did something that probably should not have done. But the thing is, when you're trying to deal with somebody who, for whatever reason, does not want to take responsibility for their own action, it's hard to deal with. And when people try to point out her mistruth, or whatever you want to call it, or her gaslighting and narcissism, she doesn't want to talk about it, or she wants to turn it around and say, well, these people are being narcissistic, or these people are gaslighting. And I'm like, it's a new term to me, and it sounds like whatever it is wrong. And I just, can't really understand her point of view. And the thing is she does not try to explain her point of view. Or if she does, it doesn't sound like a point of view. It sounds like a round robin, or just something that is off subject. Now, what I'm dealing with right now is, yes, I have feelings for my wife. I still love her. I still care about her. But, Oreo, get out of that. Come on, over here, get out of that. Oreo's trying to get into something that she shouldn't be getting into. What I'm having a problem now is, she said to me earlier today, what do I want from her? Or what do I want from our relationship? And at that moment, which I was caught off guard, I was like, right now, because of the situation, I don't know. Of course, she also mentioned divorce, and I was like, well, that's up to you. Because it's not that I don't want a divorce. I just don't want to feel like another thing that I could not accomplish. Another thing in my life that I could not accomplish. Now I know I'm smart, and I've had people tell me left and right about how intelligent I am, or how I could easily be capable of living alone again and taking care of myself again and all that, but I don't know. I mean, I've always had doubts about money management. I've always had issues with money management. Sorry, my 8 o'clock alarm went off. That's usually when I put the dog down and Jerry down, and what I mean is bed, put him to bed. But Jerry's doing her life thing right now with Rebecca. But I mean, I appreciate everybody who's cheering me on and standing behind me and, you know, all that stuff. I really do. I just have to find, unfortunately, I feel like I'm going to have to find different ways to communicate with the outside world because of Jerry's unhappiness. But the thing is, where's mine? Where's my happiness? You know? If there's one thing I want out of my life is happiness, to be joyful, to be free to do what I feel like doing or want to do within certain circumstances. I mean, I can understand, and Jerry uses this against me all the time, I can understand her getting all pissy for a lot of things I did in the past with, you know, talking to other women and things like that, which I don't have the time or desire anymore. And the other thing is a lot of the things that is going on with myself, it's hard enough for me to feel like a man when I'm having male issues or psychological issues that basically affect my manliness. It doesn't help when I don't feel like my partner is helping me with, you know, with the things I need help with. It's bad enough that my own mind and my own body is like betraying my masculinity. I just don't need it from my spouse. You know, I can understand from outside sources, but my spouse is supposed to pick me up. My spouse is supposed to lift me up beyond my own personal negativities or issues. But to have her turn around and tell me that I should be doing it, I should be lifting her up and helping her out with her depression and all that stuff. And I'm like, that's a two-way street. Where is the help that you should be giving me? You know? And it's like, I don't know what I can do anymore. You know, I can only do so much, and it upsets me when she is sending so many different misinformation or guiding or misguidance. You know, one moment she's telling me, oh yeah, you got to put the mask on to help yourself first. But then turning around and not really demanding, but asking in a I don't even know what kind of manner it would be, but to be asking me to do things when I'm not there. I can barely do what I want to do or what I need to do. And I'm just like, and then she wants to go on about how I tell people information that either A, I'm not sure about, or have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm like, really? So, what have I been saying that is against whatever you think is wrong? And, you know, she wants to bring up stuff that happened years ago, you know. And I'm like, if I can remember details that exact from what happened years ago, which I had done once or twice. You know, I don't know where, I wouldn't know where to stop, let alone leave off. But like, okay, just for instance, I had a stomach issue, and not only did I have the stomach cramps, but the frequency of going to the restroom, just feeling downright sick. Don't know what it was, you know. Maybe it was a stomach bug, 24-hour stomach bug. But what got me was I had told her about this and talked to her about this during the daytime, not realizing she had either made pre-plans, which kind of, I'm sorry, if I made pre-plans and found out my wife or my mom was sick as a dog or wasn't feeling good, I wouldn't be going out with my best friend to go clothes shopping. Clothes shopping, when she's got enough clothes in her closet for the 4 seasons to basically clothe the girls' basketball team or whatever, even though it have to be plus size girls, which I'm not complaining about, I'm just telling you. But the thing is here we are now, she doesn't have a job, she barely goes out, and if she goes out, it's either to the doctor's or shopping, which even then she barely goes out because she doesn't want to go, or I just don't want to deal with the dog in a store, or stuff like that. But the thing is, like, to have X amount of clothing that doesn't even fit in your closet with your husband's clothing, and then go out and buy more clothing that you really don't need without thinking about what to get rid of. And she's constantly saying, oh, I got rid of plenty. Really, it don't look like it. It don't. Oreo, settle down, baby. So it's things that go through my mind like this when I'm in a bad place with my wife. And I'm sitting here going, what do I want out of life? I don't know anymore. I feel like I don't have a life anymore. I feel like I'm stuck in a rut with no way out and no help from the people that should be helping me. And I appreciate all the support and whatnot that everybody's given me lately. Oreo, you nosy hound, get out of that. She's trying to get into a file box. But at this point in time, it's like, I just want to be happy. And I want to be happy my way. I want to be able to do stuff that makes me happy. I want to have stuff that I don't even have to buy that will make me happy. I mean, Mom left her old computer desk and side table that is part of a unit. The only thing she wanted out of that was the filing cabinet, which is fine and dandy. You know, I've got file boxes and whatnot. But I thought to myself, you know what, once we clean up, and we've already done part, but once we cleaned up the 2 cabinets that had the herbs and whatnot for herbalistic medicines and cure-alls, which, yes, they do. I was saying, okay, I can get rid of those 2 things, which Jerry wants to use out in the kitchen. The black dresser that had a bunch of extra stuff in it, and if you don't know what I'm talking about that thing right there. I can either move it into the other corner underneath the ElfQuest figurines, rearrange the room a little bit. This wall, I look at it every day, and the side wall, that will have the room for Mom's old components, desk components, for me to use. And I can take the computer out of this black cabinet, move it into the Mom's old computer hutch, or area that had a computer. And then this black piece of equipment or whatever could be used for storing office supplies or whatever. You know, I can find a new use for it. But Jerry's like, oh, why would you want to do that? You know, you're going to hurt yourself moving. And I'm like, no, I won't. Most of those components are light or components that can detach, can be put on a blanket or a towel and be slid across the house and flipped over and put back together and whatnot. I don't think it's gonna hurt me. I think the hardest part is just gonna get it, get it across the carpeting that's still in Mom's old rooms and this room, because we can't remove the carpeting in this room because it goes underneath this wall. So, and she's like, "What about this? What about that?" I'm like, "I'll figure it out when I get to it." But it's almost like she doesn't want me to do it because it's gonna make me happy. Because she's like, "Well, what are you gonna know about the old table that Mom gave us?" Well, we can, move it to a different room, or we can put it on Marketplace. We can do whatever. Maybe, find another purpose in another room. Or if I start doing more indoor gardening, we put it in Mom's old office and use it for a gardening table, or put it, special grow lights or grow lamps, bulbs, whatever, in Mom's old office. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we can come up with ideas, but with more and more stuff that I'm trying to do for myself, this little table is becoming overcrowded. And I don't know what to do, But the thing that bugs me the most is most of my ideas to either make me happy that don't cost us money. It's like, oh, why would you want to do that? Or where are you going to put it? Or what are you going to do with the stuff that's already in the room? Well, most of it, the two biggest pieces are two of the four biggest pieces, not including this table, can get rearranged. I mean, two of them are going out to the other room. This can get moved down. I can use it for other stuff. That I want to clean off and either repurpose it or something like that. I want to be cleaning up this room so if somebody visits, whether it's my aunt and uncle, well, no, my aunt and uncle will probably get a hotel room, if not stay with Mom if they can, or something like that. My aunt and uncle are supposed to be coming out in June, and I might talk with them and see if I can go to Ohio for a week or two, just to get a clean slate. Now, one of the things, I think I mentioned this, but one of the things that Jerry said to me is, "You don't seem to like me anymore. Do you want to get a divorce?" And I'm like, No. If you want to get a divorce, go ahead and get a divorce. I am not you. No. But the thing is, it's one of the reasons why I want to get out of Dodge for a week or two, or maybe stay with Mom for a weekend, is so I can sit down and think without without having to deal with the stress that's going on in this house. Now, one of the other things is that Jerry said, would you consider Oreo her dog or my dog? And I said, it's our dog. It's become our dog. But I just got to get the strength of spirit and mind and even body to put my foot down and start saying no. Because I've heard what the doctor said. I know what the doctors have basically given her allowance to start bending over. And we're hoping with these shots that she started on, today, that it will give her more free range without aches and pains to do more. But I just gotta get stronger, and I don't mean physically, I mean psychologically, So, but anyhow, it's it's a struggle. I mean, I really don't want to leave her. But the thing is she needs to start seeing things from my side of the fence, because if she would listen to me more and see things more from my side of the fence, she would know and understand why I'm having issues because of the house and because of the upkeep and the changing things. Of course, one of the things that she said to me when I mentioned something like that was, well, I'm really waiting on you because you're the legs. And I'm like, yeah, my legs are attached to my back, and my back is not exactly doing, hunky-dory. So I'm just like, but I've got a name and an address for SSDI lawyers who will not take a penny out of my pocket unless I win my case. And if I win my case, they get a certain percentage, which is fine and dandy because I've been out of work for almost 2 years now, and the amount of money that I'm owed for backo, I think it's called, or back pay from from the SSDI people is going to be more than enough to not only give the lawyer his percentage, but probably pay off the majority of my bills. And if I can pay off the majority of my bills through the debt consolidation people, I will not only be able to wipe my hands of using the debt consolidation people, but wipe my hands of my bills, except for my cost of living bills, the mortgage, food, insurance on the car and the house, which we can, if the house was mine, we could get our own insurance through our current home, my current insurance agency. But there'd be a lot of other things that we could do. And the thing is I'm not gonna push for the house. Yes, if I got my SSDI and can pay off all my bills in one fell swoop, yes, I would try to fix up the house a little bit better. Yes, I would look to see if I could stay, and if I can stay, great, because there's a lot of ideas we've thought for this house. So there's just a lot of different, what ifs. If I had my SSDI, what would I do? What if all my bills, all my back bills, my debt consolidation bills were all paid off, and I didn't have to use them anymore? And I can get Jerry not to get more credit cards, because as soon as the bills are paid for those credit cards that are in my name, slice and dice. I'll call them up, cancel them, say, I don't owe you anything else, so cancel the card. Thank you very much. I'm going to shred the dang card. Because I never wanted to get more cards after the first bankruptcy. Now, this is not a bankruptcy. This is a debt consolidation group. Now, how I feel towards what's going on between me and Jerry, I'm up in the air. I really don't know what direction we're going to go in. I think if I can have a true sit-down heart-to-heart with my wife without getting into a debate, or, wait a minute, no, I don't like this idea, he said, she said, blah, 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 blah. No, I don't want that. I want her to just listen to what I have to say and then reply, because every time I start talking and she wants to reply in the middle of my spiel, I forget what I was saying. I just forget what I'm saying. And that's what makes it harder on me, because then I go, oh, shit, I wanted it to go this way, but she turned, she made a table turn or something like that. The only other thing I was thinking about, and this is something that is going to be harder for Jerry than me, is to do couples counseling. marriage counseling, because the only way I can get heads or tails, or get a professional, not saying anybody who's giving me advice is not a professional, but I want to get a licensed psychiatrist or therapist to see and hear what goes on half the time. But knowing Jerry the way I do now, she will try to be on her best behavior and whatnot with the therapist, and then God knows what kind of beratement I'll get from her when we get home. But see, I am not sure how things are going to go in the near future, let alone the extended future. And I try not to worry about it, because I've got enough issues now, today, to worry about than trying to pre-plan for tomorrow's issues. But I am unsure about things right now. So I just hope I can get some form of insurance or reinsurance or whatever from God, the universe, whatever you want, whatever you want to call it. And I just, yeah, I don't know anymore. All I know is I'm trying to live day by day, and I'm trying my best to understand situations. And I don't want to be forceful. I don't want to be demanding. I want to be, hey, let's have this talk, and let's try to be as calm and cool and collective about it. You answer her one question that she asked today, which is a big one. How do I feel towards her, and what do I want out of our relationship? Because every time I tell her the simple stuff like understanding, she's like, well, I understand you. No. Because if you did fully understand me, you would understand that these things that I talk about, that I want, or what I think will make me feel happy, you rebuttal with, well, that's going to cost too much, or that's going to cost money, or one thing or another, And I'm like, she got mad at one. I know when she's telling the truth, because she tells it when she's mad because she can't control herself. But there was one time she got mad at me, and I said, this can't all be about you. She's like, yes, it is. This has to be all about me, or something along that line. And I'm like, no, it's a two-way street. You have to be as concerned about me as you want me to be concerned about you. And she knows I'm concerned about her. Because if I was not concerned about her, I would not go, well, it's not really out of my way, but I wouldn't make her a cup of coffee in the morning before mine. I would just totally ignore her cup of coffee and make mine and go about my day. But I don't. And I know she's concerned about me, because if she wasn't, she would not braid my hair or my beard the way I like it. So it's one of those, like, I don't want, maybe she is very competitive, and I've never been competitive. I don't like competitive sports. I only did it because it was part of the school curriculum to do competitive sports. Of course, granted, I didn't get into basketball or baseball or anything like that, but the competitive sport was dodgeball. I'm not a competitive person. I don't do things for competition. I do things for fun. But then she's got to, make it unfun by being, hey, what level are you on this game? I quit because I didn't want to do it competitiveness. Well, I'm not being competitive, then why are you asking what level I'm on? If you weren't trying to be competitive, you would just not worry about levels. You'd be like, hey, how are you doing on the game? And then not turn around and brag, well, I'm on level so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not here for that. If it makes me weak for not being in competitive sports, it's fine and dandy. I mean, there's only one sport that I tried to do. I did try, little league softball. Did not like it. No. I decided it wasn't for me because I couldn't keep up. And I was back in Arizona and I had asthma and bronchial issues. But I tried before we realized that. Maybe that softball in the middle of my chest kind of knocked my lungs out of whack, and that's how I got bronchial issues. I don't know. No, I know most of it is genetic. My dad had it. He didn't have asthma or allergies. He just had bronchial issues. And that was probably from him smoking when he was younger. I don't know. I don't know. Anyhow, I'm running out of words and mental power. So I am going to go ahead and sign off and try to splice this together after the disturbances and put it out there for you guys to see, and you can make your comments if you want to. Until next time, I'll see you guys around. Bye.